little breakdown of what happened to UFC 280. Truth be told, man, the card was 3 fights into it by the time we realized it was actually going on. I think when I looked at Twitter, Makhachev had just submitted Malcolm Gordon. I was like, yo, what's going on? But we really gonna look at what happened in the Belal fight, man. They say Sean Brady broke his nose or something. Apparently it's like a reoccurring thing where his nose, you know how Roy McDonald is, where you know that when they break that first time, it's just kind of something that can kind of keep happening.
Yeah, but from the outside looking in, it just looked like
he wasn't hurt, like he wasn't knocked out. It's just that nose.
Yeah, he wasn't hurt. It looked like Belal just overwhelmed him.
But Sean was doing his thing before that. But once that nose get broke, man, it's hard to breathe. It's hard to see. And then obviously you can't resort to your wrestling against a Belal. You know.
Oh yeah.
So now anybody else, Sean Brady probably still would have won.
Yeah,
he'd have been able to wrestle him.
He would have came back and won.
But Belal, I mean, you just.
The only thing is, we talking about the top 5 of the UFC's welterweight division. So if he was fighting anybody else, he would not be able to take him down.
Yeah,
if you heard him too.
You're not taking down
anybody in the top 5.
Down Colby, you ain't even taking down Jeff Neal. So you'd have been in the world of hurt. So hopefully he can get the nose thing fixed up, man, because he still is a good fighter. He got a taste of what it's like to fight at the top, and I can no longer deny Belal, man. I mean, I can feel how I feel and say what I want, but he is one. Bro, his record is 22-3, and you look at who he lost to. He avenged one of them losses, and then the other people that beat him was Jeff Neal, who is, I think Jeff Neal might be ranked ahead of him barely. I think
Jeff Neal in top.
Yeah, he's in top 10.
I think he's in top 6.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Alan Jobon, which we can't run that
At one point, Alan Jobon, like, he was beating everybody. You know,
and then ain't no point in running that back. So Belal is underrated, man, and I think he's still in a tough position, man. Even with that, because you got to run back the Leon fight, and you got to run back Kamaru. At the same time, we can't act like Leon wasn't destroying Belal, but at the same time, Colby is fighting Hamzat, and that only leaves like the Gilberts.
I think Gilbert and Jorge are about to fight. I
think you're right.
I don't think they signed the contract, but I think like it's been verbal agreement for the fights. I hope they don't. I like both of them though, but I mean,
yeah, Jorge can't afford no more losses, man.
Yeah,
but I think Belal's still in a tough situation, man. So truth be told, you know what I think the matchup is, because it's so funny because Belal is winning, but he's still nowhere near the title. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Like there is still so much going on with that he is nowhere near.
But when you take fights like Sean Brady fight, what do you think the outcome is going to be? Because Sean Brady is not in top 5. But I'm saying you fighting people behind you.
Yeah,
when you fight people behind
so
you,
you wouldn't advance further.
Yeah, you're gonna stay in your position.
You stay in your position. Now you know what probably happened. He already showed that he was willing to rematch Vicente. I think that if Jeff Neal can beat Shavkat coming up here, they'll probably schedule Belal versus Jeff Neal 2, and then the winner of that fight will probably be like, I think if Belal win, he might, depending on how everything shake, he might get a title shot. But if Jeff Neal wins, then he might be in a position to where one more win and he can get a title shot. So we'll see how that plays out. Now then we have Manon, Fiorot, her and Chookagian. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting. It just kind of happened. Manon won, so that was good. We know she could put on exciting fights, but she kind of fall into that thing where the higher she get into the rankings, the knockouts don't come as easy because it's difficult to knock out. Like, you're not just finna beat no Chookagian by no knockout. You know what I'm saying? I know you did that to some people, but
she did it to Batha, and she kind of rushed her against the cage. Yeah. But it was still impressive, though. It was impressive, but Katlyn ain't finna. If Katlyn loses, this is how she gonna lose a decision. You ain't finna just knock. But it's like 10 in a row though for her now, so it's crazy.
So now we got Beneil, Dariush, and Mateusz Gamrot, and man. Beneil just did what he wanted to do, man. He really made Gamrot look like he wasn't supposed to be in there. In my opinion, Gamrot was not supposed to be in there because Armand was supposed to be in there. And I think that would have been a more competitive fight. But Beneil just looked incredible. I mean...
Hey, Beneil feels some kind of way because he was supposed to be on standby for the Islam and Charles Oliveira fight. He kind of got skipped over by Volkanovski.
But I mean, they ended up fighting anyway. The main event went on, so I mean, it was...
That's what I'm saying, but it looks like Volkanovski is next for a title. And then he's kind of skipping Beneil when Bill was scheduled to fight Islam before in the past.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's kind of messed up, man.
Yeah, it is messed up, man. And truth be told, I don't want to see Volkanovski versus Islam.
I do, man.
Wow.
His footwork and his IQ. Because the thing is, Charles made a lot of mistakes in that fight, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I don't think Volkanovski is going to make the same mistakes because all that Islam sitting back not doing nothing stuff, waiting on his opponent to make a mistake and catch him and counter them. Volkanovski not going to make no mistakes like that. He going to be moving around, scoring points.
Man, that might be the only reason I watch it because you said that, man. But that fight does not excite me.
But Islam might pick him up and throw him outside the octagon.
He might pick him up and throw him to his own corner. And I'm talking about outside the cage and get a ring out.
Yeah, like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And I'm sorry, man, but I know that I wouldn't compare Brian Ortega's submissions to Islam because Brian Ortega's submissions, like he can kind of get different things off his back. He can go for the neck. I'm gonna say this: once Islam gets you down, I'm not talking about guillotines. I ain't talking about armbar triangles. But I'm saying once he gets you down on your back, I don't think there's anything Volkanovski could do, man.
But also,
I just don't want to see that.
And also, Brian, he pulled the trigger faster too.
Yeah.
Cause notice, like when he have somebody hurt or whenever there's an opportunity, he goes for it fast and he gets it. And people look up and the fight be over. Islam more by the books. Yeah. And he gonna take you down. And he gonna do all the steps. Step one, step two.
Khabib in his corner, give him the Chico. Hey, do this. Move his arm here. Before you know it, submission. Man, it was so crazy. He took Dan Hooker down, and Khabib was telling him exactly what to do. And Dan Hooker was just looking up like, what the heck, man? You already in Islam's corner, because you know obviously he's going to take it to his corner. And then Khabib was giving him the play-by-play. I'm saying to have Khabib in your corner, when you're a wrestler, you can drag people to your corner to listen to Khabib tell you, put his arm here and step over there and go the other way. No, this. Okay, he finna try to do this, so do that. And it's like, God.
But Islam been around too, though.
I know. I'm saying you fighting Islam and you fighting Islam who got it.
And then he's speaking in Russian too. And he's speaking in Russian.
And
so
speaking a different language.
Yeah.
And it's sense. Like, then you got to go back and watch the UFC behind the scenes where they putting the captions on it. And he telling him all the instructions. And you look back and say, man, if we fought 10 times in a row, I would have never won. And it's like, man, looking back on it, Bobby Green never took a chance. I mean, I know it was short notice anyway, but he never took a chance. Even if he made it out of there, he was toast, man. Now, we're going to move on to the highly controversial, which, the truth be told, I think people doing a little bit too much, man. Voch. We kind of all...
I think the issue I have with this is historically they've scored fights like this for the wrestler.
They've done it.
And for years, I never approved of it. You cannot get beat up standing up, but then get a takedown. And then all of a sudden you win the round. You win the decision.
We've seen Ryan Bader. We've seen Josh Gauthier. We've seen GSP. We've seen so many people do this for years, and we've always kind of been in the middle where it's like, no, wait a minute. Judging a fight is not necessarily saying... you got pieced up for 3 minutes, but you had 2 minutes of control time. But at the same time, you didn't pass guard, you didn't drop no ground and pound. You did get beat up on the feet for 3 minutes. That outweighs your takedown. But they scored for the person who got the takedown. We've seen them spoil people and let them fight like that and win. I mean, we saw Eddie Alvarez lose like that to Donald Cerrone. We've seen that so many times, man. And that was just one example of a striker doing it. You know what I'm saying? Now, all of a sudden, now you get to the Sean O'Malley fight. Now you want to score for damage over wrestling. And now everybody's rightfully upset because it's like, y'all historically have not done this. We've seen people get beat up for 4 minutes standing up and get one takedown and win a round. We've seen this, man.
GSP damn near won that round against Carlos when he got head kicked.
GSP got head kicked and almost sent to another planet, like wherever they was on Thor. Whenever Hulk was fighting the people on a different planet with the Collector, like he got sent to like another dimension and still won that round off control, off of wrestling. In a fight where we saw his soul leave his body. Now all of a sudden you want to score for damage. Now, as far as when I was watching the fight, I felt like, and I was 50-50, so I'm not a Sean O'Malley fan per se. Like, I like him and Fiorot. Like, I respect their skill sets. But I didn't have a dog in this fight. If I was betting, I wouldn't have touched this one. But we said that this probably was going to happen. It was going to be a 50-50 joint. The reality is, because of how they've historically scored it, I assumed Fiorot would have won. But when I was watching it, I kind of felt like Sean was actually doing more to win the fight. I feel like Fiorot was panic wrestling. Truth be told, there was one point where Fiorot shot from the center of the octagon and he dove on Sean's legs from like 5 feet away, just trying to grab him because he was like, nah. And there were several times where Sean was walking Fiorot down and almost finna put him away. And Fiorot, he landed that one big clean shot and then he wrestled, but he didn't pass guard. I can understand if you got the takedown, then you go to half guard, then you go to side guard, then you go to full mount. Man, look, if that's the case, I have no argument for Sean. There's nothing I can do to defend you. Fiorot, you got a panic takedown because you were about to get knocked out and then you didn't do nothing with it. Yeah, you may have held on to it for a minute and a half. Then Sean got up. Okay, you end up striking again. Fiorot had a little bit more combinations, but he didn't really hit Sean enough to hurt him. But Sean was hurting Fiorot. So the object of the fight is to finish the fight, correct?
Yeah.
That's the object. You're trying to finish the fight and it might go to decision. Now, if you're going to wrestle, your wrestling has to lead to something that's going to finish the fight. So if you're wrestling, I need to see some heavy ground and pound. If you're wrestling, I need to see you advancing position, going for submission attempts. You did not do that. You just did wrestling, and then you thought you was going to win. But that's how Aljamain beat him. Ain't that crazy? But the thing is, that I'm actually wrong about that because Aljamain actually took his back and was trying to choke him out. That's why I think that Fiorot fans are saying, well, Aljamain did the same thing. No, he didn't. Aljamain didn't take him down and stay in his full guard. Aljamain had that back. A lot of other lesser fighters would have been choked out. It ain't like Aljamain was just in his full guard and then Fiorot stood up. You know what I'm saying? But what do you think?
Who do I think won, or what do I think about the fight?
Both.
I mean, historically, they gave the fights to the wrestlers. I mean, I think Fiorot won because how they scored fights in the past, but I think Sean did way more damage. So, I think Sean won the fight, but based on how they...
What's that website you go to for the UFC stats?
UFCstats.com.
I'm starting to see these weird situations, man, where people are posting different stats. I'm seeing memes where they saying that Sean outstruck Fiorot. I'm seeing memes where they're saying Fiorot outstruck Sean. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on at this point.
No, what happened was Sean, he landed more significant strikes. Fiorot landed more overall strikes. Because, he took him down. He was doing the ground and pound, but those not significant strikes, man.
And then those strikes didn't do nothing to Sean. I'm sorry, but, dude, that was one point. Dude, that was several times when we thought Sean was about to knock Fiorot out. Now, there is a thing going around where they're saying that Fiorot saying he might ask for a release from the UFC because he feel like they're not supporting him. Man, what did I tell you before this fight? I said I'm going to have to pick Sean O'Malley for one reason. Not because I think he's better. Fiorot think he can give up rounds and he think he automatically win the first round. Dude, you're not fighting Uriah Faber. You're not fighting an old Jose Aldo 2015 or whenever they fought. You cannot give up a round. I feel like Aljamain won that first round in the second fight because Aljamain looked like he was a little bit more active. Was he the better striker? No. But I feel like he was doing more to try to get the round. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then against this fight, I think that Sean was doing a little bit more. And Fiorot was he was doing things to see how Sean would react. But he wasn't doing it his intent was to collect data that he could use as the fight went on. He did this against Corey Sandhagen. Take the first round off and let me just do enough to see how you respond. Bro, you lost that round though. You don't get to just say, oh, I'm collecting data, I'm reading my opponent and think that you won. How do you think the judges are scoring that round? You think they're giving it to you? What are you doing? You don't automatically get a round just because you're taking that round off to collect data. Does that make sense?
It makes sense though, but in a 5-round fight though, you
But in a 5-round fight, you still giving up a round. That's why he lost the Aljamain fight. That fight would have been a unanimous decision for Fiorot if he just didn't take the first round off. He could have did a little bit more and clearly won the first round, and he clearly won rounds 4 and 5. So he would have won that fight. I'm sorry, man. You don't get to take out rounds, bro, and think you just got it. I don't know where that mentality comes from. I have never seen nobody do it in the UFC. Historically, slow starters, they either pay for their slow start and they get finished, or it gets held against them. For some reason, he think that he should still get it just because I'm reading my opponent.
So Sean O'Malley landed 84 significant strikes, and Petr Yan landed 58 significant strikes.
And then you got to realize with that 84, he did more damage. The thing is, people are going to say that he had takedowns. Yeah, but what led to the takedown? He was about to get knocked out and he had to go for the takedown. Why are we eliminating the why? We are eliminating what happened before that, and now we're not scoring the fact that Sean had him hurt.
And another thing is, let's break it down. In the third round, Sean O'Malley, he outstruck Petr Yan 40-15. So we know who won the third round. That's not even up for debate. And the second round, I'm looking on UFCstats.com. Okay. So in the third round, Sean, he outstruck Petr Yan 40-15, right? He clearly won the third round, Sean O'Malley. The second round, I think Petr Yan won that round. He got multiple takedowns. He got 3 takedowns, controlled him for 2.5 minutes. The first round is one that that's up for debate. The first round can go either way. That's what I'm saying. I don't really know who won this fight.
Let's be real. We know, but who took a round off to collect data? Who took a round off? How do you win the round when your whole goal for round 1 is to just see how my opponent going to respond to my feints? You see what I'm saying? I'm saying even with the first round, I can see a case for both fighters, but for people to act like, I'm not saying Sean won definitively, but what I'm saying is that Fiorot didn't win definitively. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying Sean did. I'm just saying Fiorot didn't. Stop feeling entitled, man. You spend your first round trying to collect information. Go back and listen to the preview show that we did. Go back and listen to what me and Kobe talked about. I said it. I said, in a 3-round fight, in round 2, Fiorot gonna be down already by 1 round. I said that. I said, so now it's up to Sean to not get 10-8 in the 3rd round. I said that. I'm sorry, man. Fiorot, you might not have definitively lost because I can make the argument for you winning, but at the same time...
I wasn't surprised when they said Sean won. I wasn't surprised.
That was a little bit of a business decision as well, you know. The truth be told. But how come they mad about the Sean O'Malley outcome? How come y'all ain't talking about Khamzat and Gilbert? Y'all want to act like that didn't happen, though. Because let's be real, this fight wasn't even as close as that fight. But you was okay with Khamzat winning. You ain't had nothing to say. Oh, no, never mind. No, next fight.
I think the issue is a lot of people lost money, and Sean was a big underdog, too, man. So I think it's also money involved in this decision that people say. Because if you put money on Petr Yan, he the favorite, and you done lost 10,000.
And he wrestled, and historically people who were getting beat standing up were able to go back and fall back on the wrestling and win a decision, and you done put up $1,000, you would be like, whoa. I think it'd be more understandable for Petr fans if they historically fight like this. Because you know what happened? What happened is next week, Arnold Allen will be putting hands on Calvin, and Calvin will wrestle him down to the ground, and then Calvin will win a decision off of wrestling. Even, you see what I'm saying? Something crazy like that'll happen, and it'll be like, well, wait a minute. Man, I'm telling you one thing is, these judges, man, they gotta be held to some standard. The judges, man. You can take a similar fight that happened where somebody wins standing up and somebody rely on wrestling to try to stay in the game or survive. Dude, there's different types of wrestling. You got wrestling that's a part of somebody's offense. Like, this is my game plan. Bro, Petr Yan doesn't wrestle people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I know that's not part of your game plan, but you got hurt. So, your wrestling was not to pass guard. It wasn't to go for a submission. It was to survive. Let's not mince words here. Your wrestling served one purpose, to not get knocked out by Sean O'Malley.
But the only way you can say that is you have to compare that to what the opponent did and how good they did on the feet. It doesn't make sense. So, like, if the wrestler take down the striker, you can only say that the wrestler took him down and didn't do nothing if you compare that to a striker who didn't do nothing. Like, because if the striker didn't do nothing, then the wrestler who didn't do nothing, he won.
Yeah, well,
But if the wrestler didn't do nothing and the striker did a lot on the feet, then you gotta get that fight. You gotta get a win to the.
Man, at one point, we was standing up because we thought Sean was finna finish Petr. Remember, before he got hit with that big left hand, I was standing up. I was like, yo, he really finna finish Petr. This is crazy. Like, I couldn't even fathom it. But I'm sorry, man. These judges gotta be held accountable. I don't think people need to be on Sean. Man. I don't think people need to be on Sean as much because it ain't his fault, man. The reality is there may have been some favoritism, but Petr, man, you've had too many decisions in a row that was just too close. And the reality is there's one common denominator. You think you entitled to the first round.
Not even that, but just like what happened with the first Aljamain fight, the way it ended, it's just the decision making, man.
The decision making.
It's not a good look, man. There might be something that, what I said the other day, there might be something that kind of hurt his career when he did that knee. So Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of hard to shake back from that. Now you're losing these close decisions. It's just kind of like, dang. Like,
your aura of invincibility is steady. I'm telling you, you know what's going to happen? And I hate to say this, but you know what's going to happen in Petr next fight? Because he's on the downhill. He's going to get knocked out.
Yeah, he's going to fight Umar now.
I don't know if they're going to get him, but I'm telling you, Petr going to get knocked out because he's on the downhill. He's on the downtrend because it was an accident. I'm not blaming him. It was an accident, a lapse in judgment, and it happens. But the knee to Aljamain. So then the second fight, Aljamain shows up like a completely different fighter. When instead, if Aljamain had just lost the decision, he would have had to fight 2 or 3 more times, and he would have had to be doggone impressive to get a rematch. You know what I'm saying? But now he get another opportunity. He shows up, completely different fighter. Again, Petr, he don't think the first round matters for some reason. So he lost that round. Then, you know, he lost 2 of the next few rounds. But then he won the last 2, but it was too late. You down 3. Before that, he fought Corey. First few rounds, bro, it was so crazy because Petr took 2 rounds off against Corey. Ain't that crazy? He took 2 rounds off. So if Corey hadn't messed up, Corey probably could have won that one by split decision. Petr, how many split decisions do you think you're supposed to win in a row, man? Like, come on, dude. Like,
and not only that though, but he needed to win that first Aljamain Sterling fight because Aljamain Sterling had back surgery.
Yeah.
And it makes Aljamain Sterling look good because he was losing when he was injured, and he came back and he beat Petr Yan when he was healthy. But if Petr Yan would have won a decision, nobody cares.
It wouldn't matter.
Which he was probably gonna lose the second fight too, but he could have kept his belt a little bit longer.
And that was like Petr was never the champion, man. And now he's holding so many losses. Now losses are starting to add up, and his record still looks amazing and fantastic. But we got to stop showing that Uriah Faber kick. That was a long time ago. We got to stop showing the Jose thing. That was a long time ago.
So he's starting to bank on his wrestling a little bit more now too. Because even if he fought like a Song Yadong, he'd be taking him down.
My fear is that he might get knocked out before he get the opportunity.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, man, because Sean almost put him away. But Song Yadong might not be the best person at the moment, but I'm saying I would hate to see him versus Cheeto. I feel like Cheeto might get him. And then they got a common opponent in Sean. Now, and what did I tell you? Piotr is becoming a Neil Magny of the top 3. Like, basically, at the bantamweight, if you can beat Petr Yan, you get a title shot. You basically turning into the top 3 version of Neil Magny, where if you can get past this person, okay, cool. Because now, Piotr didn't even have the belt for a long time. But what do they keep saying? Former champion, former champion, former champion. So they're using your former champion status as a way to elevate other fighters when they give them split decisions. What are you doing? So I'm telling you what's going to happen next, man.
And then he was a champion because he was a champion only because Cruz wasn't champion, Dillashaw wasn't champion, and Cruz wasn't champion, and Cody wasn't champion. So that's the only reason he was only a champion for so long. Because at one point, it was up for grabs.
And at that point, I don't think back then he would have been able to beat none of them. At that time.
So who he beat?
Was it?
Hold on, I forgot who he beat to become champion to begin with. Oh, Jose?
No, it was Jose Aldo. I'm sorry, man. We gotta let the Jimmy Rivera thing go. We gotta let.
He fought Jose for the belt.
So he fought Jose?
So he fought Jose for the belt.
He fought Jose for the belt, and then he fought Aljamain. Right after that, got disqualified. Then he fought Corey for an interim.
So who he fought before Jose?
Uriah Faber. That's what I'm saying. We gotta let that go. And that was in 2019. Uriah Faber. Stop. Uriah Faber was the man, don't get me wrong, but not in 2019. Like, we gotta stop showing that kick. They just hold on to that, man. I'm sorry, but Piotr is like on a downslide, and now the bad decision making is starting to catch up, man.
Because he's in the bantamweight division, and it's
killers.
Nothing but killers there, man.
It's nothing but killers.
Even if he fought against somebody like, I'm trying to think of somebody, because I know he could take Ryan Font down. That's a bad example.
Ricky Simone might beat him.
Nah, I don't like Ricky. Nah, man.
You ain't gotta like Ricky, but
no, I'm saying I don't like, but I'm saying like I don't think he can beat nobody in the top 5.
Man, I think Ricky could beat a lot of the boys in the top 5, but I'm saying, but let's say realistically, okay, let's bring it back. Let's go pick somebody in the top 5. I don't think it was necessarily the right decision, but I don't think it was necessarily the wrong decision at the same time. Ooh. So then we go to Aljamain and TJ Dillashaw, man. I mean, at the end of the day, people can't really blame it on an injury because Aljamain was injured when he lost to Piotr that first time. Nobody cared.
Yeah, true.
So he had to fight through neck injury. And TJ, man, you talk about heart of a lion, man. Oh my goodness, this dude don't never give up.
He said that because before the fight, he said that Aljamain Sterling had a quit button. He said he had a quit button, and then Aljamain said, "I've never quit in none of my fights." So TJ can't say that about Aljamain and go out there. He quit in the first round, even though he injured. I mean, yeah, so he kind of had to back up his words against what he said.
But man, he fought through hell, man, because Aljamain he was full mount, was ground and pound.
At one point, they met in the center of the octagon. It was throwing punches. It looked like if he would have landed.
Didn't TJ look good on the feet, though?
He looked good, dude, the first 30 seconds.
Man, the first 30 seconds, that looked like the TJ that fought him
in 2017.
I was like, holy. Remember I said, man, he flowing. Like, what's going on? Man, this looked like.
But he was taking a chance, though, because that's the only chance he had.
Man, that looked like the TJ from 2014. That was crazy. But, you know.
Aljamain, man, I didn't like that, bro, in the pocket with TJ, man. Don't give TJ no chances to win this fight.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to close the distance if you want to get the fight to the ground.
No, but at one point, for like 30 seconds, they was kind of just throwing punches.
No, but if you fight TJ, you fight him close because you definitely don't want to fight him far away. For that kick to be landed, that head kick, or for him to get to moving and grooving on you,
but don't exchange punches like that with TJ. Give him a chance. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
But I don't think he was throwing the left hand at all.
He was just throwing the right hand.
It ain't like you had to watch out for it.
He was compromised.
He was compromised. But I mean, a great show of heart from TJ, man. I'm not a big TJ fan as far as outside of the cage, but I respect the heck out of TJ inside the cage, man. That
he got the heart of a champion.
A heart of a lion. He really do have a heart of a champion, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if he still come back and become champion.
I didn't say all that. No.
I think he can, man. I think that that fight would have looked a little bit different. Dude, he suffered a long time with the injury. And it make you think about what if he was healthy. But we can't do that because nobody gave Aljamain no grace when his neck was messed up and he got hit with an illegal knee. So Aljamain looked fantastic.
So we never got to see them go back and forth, striking, grappling, and striking. Yeah. So that was one thing I was looking forward to. It never kind of happened. But I like Aljamain. He got the finish.
And he got the job done.
It's certain guys, they fight a certain way, and they probably would have.
I think Corey would have found a way to lose that fight.
He would have lost majority split decision.
I would argue that Piotr probably would have found a way to lose that fight. I'm going to just be honest with you. So that was good. Now, I don't know what's next for TJ because you got your Cheetos and stuff like that, and I don't know if you really want to just really be in there with Cheeto right now.
He gonna pick the weakest fighter in the top 10. He gonna fight Pedro. He gonna fight Pedro.
I don't blame him. I'll do that. Cody did when he came out the loss, and that's exactly the fight they're gonna make because they got a common opponent. He gonna fight Pedro next. He can get back in the W column. Aljamain is gonna be fighting Sean next. Sean is getting the next title fight, point blank period. And people
are saying Henry Cejudo.
You know, they are saying that, but
I don't like that fight, man. If I'm Aljamain, I'm not fighting Henry.
I'm not fighting him if I'm Aljamain, but at the same time, if I'm Sean, I'm campaigning for my title fight because they were talking about that this morning. They were talking about Henry versus Aljamain.
But Henry never lost the belt too. He really a champion.
Yeah, he relinquished it.
Oh, that's what happened. That's how Fiorot became champion. So Henry really the champion right now. He never lost his belt. If I'm Aljamain, I'm not fighting him, bro. You can't ask for a worse matchup, a worse stylistic matchup.
Because he got the wrestling to counter yours, and he got heck of knocking power.
And he gonna fight on the inside. I promise you, he gonna get on the inside. But the only thing is, sometimes Henry get in the mode where he keep taking people down, and he'll lay on top of them. He could make a mistake by doing that. But I don't think he'll do that against Aljamain. He'll keep the fight standing up.
That is an interesting fight, man. But I'm sorry, man, but the Sean and Aljamain fight sells more pay-per-view.
I don't think Sean has a chance against Aljamain. That's the thing.
Oh, 100% not, because and I think the UFC might know that too. Because if Fiorot took you down and it just held you for total of 5 minutes out of 15, then Aljamain takes your back and he chokes you out and submits you super quick. I mean, we can't pretend like Aljamain didn't steamroll Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah. And then also, I'm not no black belt on the ground, but Sean, it seemed like his technique was a little bit off because he explodes up. You know how Anthony Johnson used to do that, bro? Like, he's just so explosive. They'll be on his back and they just pop up. I can see Aljamain taking that back, man.
But Aljamain gonna take his back and choke him.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Smooth out. But if I'm Sean, I'm trying to get my title fight. I ain't worried about what nobody else got to say. Give me the title fight. I know Aljamain got really one main way to win, and I got to just have to put myself through a rough training camp. If I got to go out there with Khabib and Islam and them, if it take however much money to go out there, you got to spend that training camp doing it. I would definitely invest in it. You know, I ain't got the whole world to say about this one. I ain't gonna hate on Islam. Shouts out to him. He did it.
It was kind of odd how they say his camp spent $1 million on a training camp. Then they say Fabricio Verdum did that. He spent $500,000. But that's the most I ever heard. $1 million on a training camp, man. I don't think GSP was doing that. Was GSP doing that?
Nevertheless, man, Charles looked terrible and Islam looked amazing in that fight. I don't know what Charles had going on.
I don't understand how the taller, longer striker don't just stay on the outside. You remember when he fought against Tony? He fought on the outside. He fought against Kevin Lee. He fought on the outside. And then you get to Islam.
But I'm going to say this, man. I hate to say this, man, but and Gilbert said it as well. He told Charles, he said, you're making a mistake by fighting in Abu Dhabi. You are the people's champ. You were the people's champ.
They act like Islam the champ. Well, he's the champion now, though.
He's the champion now. Now he is a champion. Now he gets to fight on his terms. But you don't go into somebody else's terms trying to prove you're a tough fighter. We know you're a tough fighter. We know you're the man. Bring the fight to Brazil. You need the crowd in your favor. You need a bunch of Brazilians on the card. You see what I'm saying? People grow up inside the cage, but you got to grow up outside the cage too. It's business.
And then what makes me mad is how they screwed him up with the weight scale thing. They didn't tell him about the different weight scale, and they kind of screwed him over. Because he could be a champion, because he could have been defending his belt against Islam. And that kind of screwed him up, and nobody even talk about it.
People, we got to make better decisions, man. Everything ain't just all about fight. You know, it's about the business aspect outside, too, man. I agree with Gilbert when he said, man, we might have to make a short about that when Gilbert was like, look, man, you need to be fighting in Brazil, bro. Because that crowd, think about when you go fight Patty in the UK. The fight is 70% over with. What's the boy name? Jordan.
Oh yeah.
That fight was 75% through. The moment Patty walked out of the tunnel, that fight was halfway.
How these fighters like Darren Till, Alexander Gustafsson, they get fights in their home country, then Charles don't get one. I don't understand that.
But the thing is, Charles could have campaigned for that, but Charles is trying to prove that I can go to wherever you are, Man, stop. You got to be smart, man. This is not a game. Like, the fight don't start in the cage. Y'all should know that. It does not start in the cage. If I'm Charles, that fight would have never taken place nowhere other than Rio de Janeiro or wherever. I'm sorry. I would have never agreed to that, ever. But then you got a bunch of other people from that area of the world fighting on the card. They racking up wins.
But it don't matter what they can fight on Mars. If he fight the way he did, he gonna lose. It don't matter what they fight at.
Yeah, but I think that he needs the crowd behind him, man, a little bit, man. Dude, imagine. But either way it go, Islam did.
He made a lot of mistakes against Islam, man. And he had Islam against Cage. He wasn't throwing no punches.
I don't know what's going on, bro. That was the worst Charles we've seen in a very long time. I forgot Charles could fight like that. I think he'll be back, but I think that unfortunately he's gonna have to fight Beneil. And I'm sorry, but
he might not win that one.
Islam cracked you from southpaw like that, and Islam ain't even got hands, Beneil putting you to sleep, bro. Because the end, he got the jiu-jitsu. Oh, man. I don't know, man. Charles has made some head-scratching moves that I don't know who he's listening to, man, but it needs to stop. But Islam is making all the right moves, and we know who's influencing it.
But Islam wasn't really doing a lot in the fight. He was just countering and then Charles go for a takedown, he'll flip him over.
You know one thing Charles messed up on? Telling the whole world that you can't see. Why would you go on there and tell people that, oh, when I start the fight, I see 3 or 4 people and I can't see and I just swing for them. And bro, why would you tell? I would have took that to my grave. That when I retired, I would have told people, hey, you know, I just got surgery or whatever the case is, or I got surgery at a certain point in my career, but I wear the glasses. Ain't no one in the world I'm finna tell you I'm seeing 3 or 4 of y'all at the beginning of the fight, because now everybody know that they can just kind of do whatever they can be a little bit more reckless. I wouldn't even want to see him fight Michael Chandler again. Michael might put him to sleep this time, for real. So, I don't know, man, but Islam got a super boring fight coming up that I'm not interested in.
Who?
Volkanovski. I don't want to see that. I want to see Islam versus Beneil. That's the fight I want to see. That's the fight to make.
No, I want to see Islam versus Michael Chandler. I know
that's not a bad fight either. I want to see that fight too. I think I want to see that one.
I want to see how good Islam Chin really is.
You know what the difference is? Khabib is going to say fight Volkanovski because the game is longevity. It's not your job to fight no Michael Chandler who got great takedown defense and hella knockout.
Is it longevity because Volkanovski, that fight going 5 rounds?
No, it's not. He's going to take Volkanovski down and submit. Like, I'm sorry, but that's what's going to happen. And I love Volkanovski, man. Like, he is the man. I love Volkanovski inside the cage. I love him outside the cage. I think he's one of the most underrated fighters ever. And I know it's kind of ironic that I'm saying he's going to lose, but
you know,
I'm just not interested.
This kind of weird.
Hold on, not to cut you off. He might win. I just don't care to see it, personally.
It's weird. I know people might laugh at me saying this, but I think Volkanovski fighting against Islam is going to be... You remember when Max was going to fight Khabib? It's going to be like the smaller guy fighting against a wrestler. The question is going to be, can the featherweight stop the lightweight takedowns? And it's going to be kind of like that same narrative almost, man. Because you got a smaller featherweight who's a champion fighting against a big, strong lightweight champion. So it would be kind of like the same narrative.
That's a terrible matchup, man. The more you describe that, the more I'm not interested.
But if Volk can get in the 3rd round, though, man, if he could just press a button and fast forward the time and get to the 3rd round, he good.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to call Dr. Strange to do something strange for a little bit of change. I don't know. He's going to need a miracle.
Even Islam, when Islam fought against Charles Oliveira, he was kind of conserving his energy. Every move he was making was calculated. I don't want to throw this and get tired.
I'm sorry, man, but Islam ain't Max Holloway. I'm sorry.
Like, Islam might be able to go up with welterweight, man, and get that belt and then go up the middleweight.
Hey, Islam might be able to hold Leon down.
I know, man, the way he look, man. If he get Leon down, it's over. them long legs.
I really don't want to see Volkanovski fighting him at all, man. The
only thing is Volkanovski, clearly Islam is better. It's just Volkanovski, his mind so strong, and he make certain decisions. Him and Usman, they make certain fight decisions that keep them in the fight. Even though they're not the best everywhere, but they're good enough where they mind make up for it, and they can make like certain chess moves in a fight that can win in the fight. Because Volkanovski, he's already thinking about what I'm gonna do in the 2nd and 3rd round.
You got to make it to the 2nd, 3rd round. It might not be no...
And then even if he beat Islam, man, who you got next? You got Michael Chandler, you got Charles, you got Beneil.
But they're going to be fighting. Some of them it's going to be a different landscape because some people going to be coming off wins. Man, by the time they fight, they might put Charles on the undercard of that one. He might be fighting Beneil or somebody, and then he might be fighting for the belt again. Man, my ideal situation, I ain't gonna hate on Islam, but if Volkanovski could win, I'm actually interested now. I just feel bad for Charles, man, that losing your belt thing, it's just like, man, I'm gonna tell you one thing that I'm big on now is you gotta make smart decisions, man, outside of the actual fight. Khabib is a great mentor, man. Man, Islam really wouldn't be here for Khabib, man. I'm not disrespecting Islam. I think Islam would still go far, but man, when you got somebody who can think and they can navigate and they can help you come up with a game plan and execute, and you got a short-term goal, a long-term goal, they're keeping you focused, man, Charles don't have that. I ain't saying people giving him bad decisions, they just giving him dumb decisions. But
speaking of dumb decisions,
gonna be a champion for a long time. I'm gonna tell you.
Speaking of dumb decisions, Charles got to stop coming out of the fight with the front kicks. He's becoming a little bit predictable in his fights. If you notice that, and then stop saying I'm gonna knock him out in the 1st round. Because then they asked Islam, what you gonna do? Islam, like he's saying he could do a lot of different things. But Charles, I'm gonna get the 1st round knockout. Bro, against somebody in the top 5, you can't keep doing it, man. You gotta be more unpredictable. You know, I guess his style, it's kind of like that Tyron Woodley versus Usman. Maybe Tyron Woodley's style is not gonna work against Usman. You know what I mean? Because he's gonna sit back and go back, and then back up against cage, then get taken down. Like but maybe Charles, his style, maybe Islam is a bad matchup for him because he's gonna walk straight into Islam, and Islam can judo toss him, can flip him, can hurt him, counter him.
Man, there was a clip of Charles judo tossing somebody in camp, and somebody said, if he hits this on Islam,
oh God.
I remember seeing it on Twitter, and then when it happened in the real fight, I was like,
Islam was
I cannot believe Islam actually did that on Charles.
He's so strong, dude. Charles couldn't even budge him. Charles was like, hold on, man. It's like 2 people in here. Like he was a refrigerator or something, man. And he kept on trying to take him down. And Charles kept on trying to take him down. It's like, bro, that was odd, man. Like,
I don't know, man. They say Habib is super strong right now. Man, they said he over like 200 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And Daniel Cormier was like, I can't even move this dude. I'm like, man, maybe nobody would have beat Habib. Good overall card, man. You know, it has some drama. You know, the prelims wasn't hitting on too much or whatever, but the main card was crazy. Next up, we got, what's the next card?
Calvin
Cato. We already got the predictions up for that, so y'all can go check that out.
Hey, hold on. It was a fight they announced, man. Oh, Bryce Mitchell versus Elio Tapiria.
When is that?
That's going to be in UFC 282. And then Brandon Royval fighting against Amir Albazi. And that's the guy, man, who take people down. They take their back real fast.
Brandon, he alternate wins and losses, so I don't ever bet on him.
He stay getting submitted too, man.
You know, he can win by submission, and he might lose a submission in the same fight. You just don't know. So we got the Calvin Cato ones already up there. The next card after that is going to be your girl Marina Rodriguez against my girl
future champion
Amanda Lemos, who I think gonna be the future champion. I love me some Amanda Lemos, and I know you like Rodriguez. On that card, we got, as far as notable names, I got to scroll up a little bit here. We got Jelton Almeida. We have Mark Madsen and Grant Dawson. That's a fantastic fight. They have a combined record of 30-1. We got Chase Sherman versus Josh Parisian. Actually, that might be a good fight because both of them had some really good fights the last time out. We got Neil Magny and then Daniel Rodriguez.
Allegedly. This fight been canceled so many times.
Yeah, so, I mean, this card...
But you also got Mario Bautista, Benito Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Oh, no. Oh, yo, Mario Bautista, my fault.
Oh, yeah. Mario might see if he can get another finish.
He looked fantastic in his last one. So, no, you know, we got that. But then after that, we got UFC 281. This card, I mean, you got Montel Jackson on there. Andre Petrosky. Remember we was talking about Petrosky the other day?
Yeah. Oh, that's the guy who submitted Mascamon?
Yep. You got Carlos Ulberg. I don't know why Carolina is still in the UFC. But we got Moicano versus Brad Riddell. So Brad Riddell finna lose 4 in a row, 3 in a row, something like that.
Hold on, Erin Blanchfield. Dude, she's
Dominic
9-1.
Dominic Reyes and Ryan
Hold on, so Molly, she finally got somebody who's a decent fighter. Who you said?
Well, that'd be interesting. Dominic Reyes and Ryan Spann. Frankie Edgar back in the game. Dude, Dan Hooker versus Claudio Puelles. Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler.
Oh my God, man. They're not even the co-main event. Oh yeah, they the champions though. Yeah. Oh, I was about to say, man.
But that's what's coming up next, and that's all exciting. That's all good. We actually about to do a prediction for this Anderson Silva and Jake Paul because this is crazy, man. So we'll see y'all there.